No, I definitely feel bad for players that are just kind of getting into WoW because there's just so much, and
Yeah.
you can't hope to know it all, and it's unfortunate. I mean, even looking in the context of players that have even played for a while, um, unfortunately, kind of the way that they're handling Xalatath right now, they're assuming that players know anything about where Xalatath comes from. And unless you're really following the story, or unless you played a Shadow Priest in Legion, you probably don't have any idea what's going on there.
Yeah, if it weren't for the fact that not Bellular, who's the one that makes videos about this all the time?
Cellular.
Is it Bellular? Okay, if it wasn't for the fact that they exist, I wouldn't know anything because I sure didn't play a Shadow Priest during Legion. Not because
I have no clue. Like the whole Heart of Darkness stuff that we did like a few weeks ago, all these new cast of characters that are going to be showing up in the War Within, I have no frame of reference. Like, who is the elf hunter chick? I have no clue. I kind of know who the prince/king is because I did play a little bit of classic.
you mean Anduin?
Yeah, like so. These are characters like I'm somewhat familiar with them, but not
Right.
intimately.
I'm sorry. That sounded very judgmental. I didn't mean that to be judgmental. I was just like Anduin.
Yeah, that's the one. So like him and like I have no idea who's the elf hunter chick. Like we're going through her
That's
memories and playing through her nightmares, and I'm like,
Oh,
who? What?
Illyria?
Illyria is
Yeah.
Sylvanas' sister.
Okay,
Yeah.
that gives me a frame of reference at least.
Her husband Turalian is currently the Regent King of Stormwind,
Rock on.
and they kind of
the lore master.
Damn right.
they kind
Damn
of
right.
disappeared into demon worlds for a long, long time, like thousands of years. They were kind of missing, and so they've just they recently popped back up in Legion with all of the Argus content that happened for Legion. Like it's not easy to make it like there's not a simplified answer is basically what it is. But the short of it is she's Sylvanas' sister, and that's a pretty main plot point. And she's void where her husband is light, and that creates an interesting dynamic between the two of them. And there's little bits and pieces like that, but I'm hoping that going forward, and I was saying this in general earlier today, I'm hoping that going forward that a lot of players don't have to know these types of things to be able to follow along with what's going to come about. Like Thrall will be there and Jaina will be there, but I'm assuming you're not really going to have to know a whole lot about who they are because it's more about the story moving forward. But Xalatath is one of the characters I think that they need to do a little bit better job of pre-explaining what's going on with Xalatath and where Xalatath came from, and if they're going to be the main villain of the story.
For sure.
Just rumors that somewhere in there, one of them's going to tell the other one to get in the kitchen and fix me a damn sandwich, woman.
Well, that's the thing. Turalian would never, ever, ever say that because he is the very model of the modern major gentleman. So that just wouldn't happen. He's a man of the light. But I hear what you're saying. They're fire and ice. There was a TV show in the 80s called Heart to Heart, and that's what they always remind me of. They're like
oh my God, I remember that.
star-crossed lovers. I know, I'm old. Continue with your business, youngsters.
Just trying to listen to see if there's thunder going on outside.
Anyway, use the channel if you want. If you guys were just joking and you really don't want it, I can delete it. It's no big deal. But I love the lore stuff. I think it's Oxhorn every week when he comes out with a new video. So
I think it's a great addition. Because it's not going to be me. I mean, I don't know jack shit, and like
no, this ain't about what Renfail knows. Lore's not his specialty.
Not for this game.
No, for Dune, yes.
Yeah.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings
yes.
Online. Lord of the Rings Online.
Yes.
Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah, this game not so much.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right, we got a couple more minutes until we get going here.
Yeah, I'm trying to help two people get there. They don't have a portal back to Stormwind, so.
Okay. Do we have summons? We can do summons.
I could summon. In theory,
Yeah,
I haven't played my Warlock in 3 months, but I could try. Let's see. Where is my
Yeah.
button?
So, Syraxes and Kyliana.
Lord, I don't know if I even have it on the toolbar right now, or on the hotbar. Let me see. It's literally have not played him in forever.
Well, Syraxes is in Valdrakken, so you can take the portal to Stormwind. You're going to end up in the Mage
They-
Tower, turn around, go up
Yeah.
the stairs, go through
Yeah,
the
that's
portal.
pretty fast too.
We don't have
There
it
it is.
for whatever
Ritual
We don't have
reason.
the portal.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm getting it up now.
Well,
That's not
yeah,
a
you
bad-
may not have done the. I think you had to get to that portal. I think you may have to done the storyline for Belameth. Hang
I
on,
found it. So
I clicked.
we click in Kylina. What are we doing?
I don't have anything.
They're going to summon you.
Yeah, we're working on
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right. I thought
Sorry
you were
about that.
going like, click on it.
No,
I'm going
no.
there's nothing there.
No, it's a me problem. Definitely not a you problem.
No,
Who else
it's
now
an us
besides
problem.
Kylina?
Syraxis, I think, and Kalina.
Syraxes.
Syraxis. All right.
No, it's definitely an us problem.
Fine Roman sounding name.
Yeah, we don't have a portal to get here.
We'll get you here. I can't bring you here from Panda Remix. That's beyond my powers of doing. So.
Oh, that's fine.
If I could, I'd have been a gnome and not a warlock. So,
All right, has everybody got their summons? I think.
I should do it.
Yeah, I'll be there in just a couple moments.
All right.
Why am I stuck castle? All right. So I guess according to your video today, Ren, I'm going to have to pick one of these 5 characters that I
Yep.
finished Dragonflight with and play that during the pre-patch because I don't want to miss pre-patch.
Right.
My favorite part of
So,
MMO gaming.
I just decided, I was like, all right, I'll just grab Renfail. It's either going to be Renfail or Arendelle. It's either going to be the Hunter or the Druid. And to be honest with you, I would rather do the Hunter through the first time for the campaign.
I
since
was
it's-
really looking forward to doing the Hunter, but for pre-patch, it's going to have to be somebody else. So.
They might let you do the pre-patch. If you read the patch notes, it just says you have to have done the last part, which I don't know which part's the last part.
No, my Hunter's in Panda Remix until the thing launches, so I'll miss the whole pre-patch if I
Oh,
just
that's right, because the timing. I didn't even think
stick
about
my
that.
chin out and refuse to play, stand on some kind of ceremony. I would be missing out, so I'm not going to do that. But
Well,
I do have a 70 human hunter, but I haven't played him in 14 years. I played him long enough to get to 70, I think, back in November of last year, and that was it. I guess it wouldn't be that different.
they could change it between now and then. Who knows?
I
But
should
that-
race change him to gnome.
But that is a good
I could do
segue
that.
into our first meeting point tonight. So we now have the official launch date for pre-patch, which is July 23rd. And then there's a storyline associated with that, and then the event starts the 30th. So for those of us who are, I'm looking at the calendar now. So what that means is that as soon as July 23rd hits, that's less than 2 weeks away. We're switching over to start working on things for the War Within, which means we've got 2 weekends to do what we want to do in Panda Remix before we go do other stuff. This weekend and next weekend. So tomorrow night and next Saturday, and then the 27th. We could probably do one more weekend, the 27th, if we wanted to, because I don't think that event's not gonna be live until the 30th. Yeah, so we could do 3 more weeks, but it's gonna be 2, maybe 3 more weeks of Panda Remix, and then we're done, and we're fully into the event that's going to be taking place as part of the pre-expansion from 30th up to August 16th, 26th. I don't know why I said 16th. I know a lot of people have the Epic Edition. I made a post about this while I was on the road. It's in the announcements section. And we may readjust as we need to, but for right now, I don't want to rush on anything. So the current plan is that whether you've got the normal edition or the Epic Edition, Level at your own pace, take your time, do delves, do the story modes, do all that stuff. We're going to be eyeballing a mid-October start for our normal rating, and we are going to be making a return to normal rating outside of LFR and stuff. The only reason we had moved away from it was because we came up against a brick wall where if we wanted the Fearic kill, that weekend was our last weekend, and then it moved on to the next gear stage, and so all our gear was completely under parred. So we are going to be going back to normal mode raids on Saturday nights. The plan is to start those mid-October. We might start sooner, but I want to make sure that I'm probably going to be the slowest person leveling in the guild because I've got so many games that I play, and a lot of games are coming out this fall, that I'll probably be the slow one. Other people, it gives them chances to get multiple tunes up through, but that should give us essentially from the start of September, it gives us 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks to get 1, 2, 3 characters to max level, whatever you want to have at max level and ready to go, and then we'll start actually working on the raid content for the War Within. So that should be plenty of time for even the slowest people, because I consider myself to be the slowest of the slow. That way there's no pressure on anybody to get raid ready. But this does lead us into one of the things that we talked about this at the officer meeting the other day. Maduros can't be here tonight because he said he had to pick up his wife from the train station, but it was one of the things he had brought up, which was one of the issues we had with Fearac was as much fun as we were having getting up to that point, when we started getting down to the final 2 or 3 bosses of Dragonflight, we did find ourselves in a situation where we had lots of people showing up for the raids, which was awesome, but there was quite a few people who were not doing anything in between the raids to get their gear score up. And that was hindering us because we weren't able to put out the DPS required to take out the last 2 bosses with the timeline that we had. Now, the benefit of coming into the War Within from the very beginning is that we're not up against the clock. We're literally going to have time to do a complete slow burn of everything that's out there. We'll be able to do it as it comes out. We're not in a rush for anything. But it is going to be important for those of you who plan on raiding with us on Saturday nights, it's not just important to show up and be there on Saturday nights ready to go. Part of being ready to go means you need to be actively keeping your gear score up in between that, because if they're doing seasonal shifts like they did with Dragonflight where that gear score is continually increasing, it's hurting everyone as opposed to helping. I mean, it's great that people want to be there and want to participate. That's the most important thing, but we also have to all make sure that, and this is not a hardcore requirement. This is not us saying, we need you to have this. It's the game saying you need to have this stuff if you want to do the content. So if you're planning on raiding, just bear that in mind that once we get to that point, it will be important that you spend, I don't know how much time you need, but a couple times a week going out there and doing heroic dungeons and quest lines and dailies and whatever's the new seasonal stuff so that you can make sure you keep your gear score up so that we can remain relevant when we're trying to do the raids as they're coming out with the War Within. So what I don't know right now is, I know there has been the desire to have, to develop maybe a crafting division. We talked about it a little bit a few months back, decided to just wait until the War Within as opposed to trying to do anything with Dragonflight because we're coming in late to that. But that's another thing where I don't want to do it quite yet. I'd like to start having discussions about it, but it's going to require someone who can step up to the plate and wants to manage that division, because there's a whole resource management issue of making sure that everything's going into the right bank slots and organizing everything and who needs what and doing the work orders and all the other stuff to help each other out. So we will discuss that as we get closer to it. And if you think you're someone who wants to help out with the crafting side of things, we'll do a call for help later on, and you can put your name forth. But it'll be, I would say, we'll wait a little bit longer until we get closer to, seeing who's going to be there for the actual pre-patch, which brings us to the next thing. For people who were doing EQ2 on Monday nights, Kel, there just wasn't enough people to do what what was originally the idea for things, because this TLE server, this progression server, is a lot different than the previous ones, and you pretty much have to have a group to do everything. And we have a handful of people who only play once or twice a week, and then a handful of people who are playing every single night. And it just wasn't able to cohesively come together. So Kel has gone out and found a bigger guild that EverQuest 2 chapter is going to fold into. So if you were playing EverQuest 2 on Monday nights, check the announcements channel, because that's what's taking place there. Our static group is going to keep going on Monday nights until I think August 8th, and then we'll be wrapping up on August 8th. We are still keeping an eye on Dune Awakening. If it goes into early access this year, we may do a call to action and see if there's enough people to justify spinning up an early access chapter. But we'll just wait and see, because we don't know what the timeline of it looks like. Like with Enshrouded, what we were doing is we were playing Saturday and Sunday mornings. It's just something to do in between other stuff. And we'll be taking a look at like when that happens, where is it happening, what's our schedule look like, are we super busy with War Within stuff, or is there a gap? But we do plan on doing some sort of a chapter in Dune Awakening, whether it's in early access or in the full launch version, we don't know yet, but we're going to be keeping an eye on that. What's next? Dun, dun, dun. Hang on, I'm checking my thing here.
Does anybody know
Right.
when LFR is going to launch for the War Within? Like, what's the timeline? Is it 3 weeks after the launch, or 2, or?
I don't think I've heard of that yet.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard anything.
We just so Rainey got promoted tonight. Congratulations. I know I had talked to you earlier about that. Thank you so much for being so helpful and so active during Panda Remix. I know a lot of people have fallen off the wagon because they got bored with things. So in recognition of being around all the time, you get to help out now.
Yay!
So help out with invites and stuff, and then as we get closer to the War Within, if we have people who want to do guild captain stuff and they're going to be active again, we can have more discussions. We're going to need a crafting officer to help things, and we'll just promote as we get closer and get deeper into things.
I had a question about
Yep.
like guild recruitment. If I could squeeze my question in
Yep.
while we're on this subject. I'm not sure, like going forward, what necessarily the active recruitment elements are,
Mm-hmm.
but is there consideration to be made for moving recruitment to this actual Discord that we use versus having to hop through 2 Discords? Just simply because I've had people like whisper me and ask about the guild, namely when I'm on my Horde tune, because Moonguard's Horde side can be a little bit quiet sometimes. So there's people that poke me that are interested just about in an active guild, not necessarily even have to be Horde. But it's awkward to try and explain to them how to hop through multiple Discords,
Sure.
especially since there's not really a link to the first Discord. Like they have to go like through your YouTube channel to get to that Discord to get to this Discord. And it's kind of awkward as far as like recruiting players from World of Warcraft
So
rather than from your channel.
No, absolutely. And I do have the recruitment stuff is going to be at the very end. So I'll cover recruitment more in general, but to specifically answer your question, the reason we've done it this way, and I'm not saying it's the best way, and it may be something that we change in the future, because you're not wrong. We've actually had this discussion, I think, a couple of times in officer meetings. The reason is because I get hit with spammers a lot. And our previous Discord, much as my Discord, got hammered really hard with porn spam a couple years back, where we had a guy come in who was trolling me, came in, and I had to just basically break down and put professional moderation tools on their Discord, on my Discord server and everything else, because everybody got spammed with porn stuff. And then one time we were doing a raid and we had somebody who had gotten into our voice chat, and I was in the middle of live streaming, and he yelled the N-word like 5 times really quickly before I was able to mute him and kick him from the Discord server. So we have opted to have this Discord server be really, really hard for people to get to, and our membership to be super inclusive and difficult to get into because of that reason. And some of that is probably me being overly paranoid, but I also want to protect the integrity of this Discord space, and not have that kind of stuff ever happen again, because it was a horrific thing. The magnificent black men doing what they do best, but it was not things that everyone wanted to see, and the racial slurs and everything else were out of control, and that happened over the course of like 3 months. We got hit, I think, like 7 or 8 times. So when we started this Discord, the idea was only myself, Kel, and Lysandra Maduros have the ability to do invites to this Discord server. I would like to say that could change in the future, to directly address what your question was. I don't have an answer to that now, because the only easy answer would be to set up a website, have people fill out the application on the website. Once they fill out the application on the website, then they can get a link to the Discord. But unless we decide to do that, and that's not an administrative thing that I'm willing to take on right now, unless we were to do that, if people have suggestions, I would be absolutely happy to take suggestions, but at the moment, just to keep everything locked down, that's why we've chosen to do it the way we've done it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I completely get that. I guess more of my question is that on other Discord
Sure.
servers, other guild, they have that system in place on that main server. Like, there is a lockdown to when you first join. You can't do anything. You can't see anything. You can't go to any of the
Sure.
channels. It's all invisible to you
And we
until
could do that,
you
but
get
it's-
unlocked for that.
Right, we could do that, but that's at the cost of me being willing to spend $150 or whatever for the license for the Discord server. So, that's definitely something that we can be discussed if people want to pitch in and help pay for a pro license of ME6 and want to help set up the moderation so that we can do that. I would be happy to consider that. But I haven't done it because it's an administrative thing on my end, and I just have so many other irons in the fire. But you're not. I think that's a great idea. I think that's something maybe we can, Lysandra and myself and Kel and Maduros can take a look at and figure out what we want to do, and maybe we put out a, hey, here's a PayPal, throw in $10.
Yeah, it's an awesome idea, and ultimately, I think it's probably going to be necessary one way or the other. But he's right. It's not only is it an expense, which isn't that big of a deal, because if it was just money or whatever, I'm sure we can come up with it pretty quickly. But it's also the time involved in like moderating a Discord with 100 or more active users, and having to sit there and kind of like watch threads for the kind of, people are passionate about the video games they play, and they start off friendly enough, and it's just arguing over whether Captain America can beat up Superman, which is fine. But then it rapidly kind of sometimes devolves into this thing that requires attention and moderation. And, we're all grown-ups and adults here with lots of shit to do. And he's a, streaming and YouTube pro. He's got irons in the fire out the wazoo. So there's got to be a solution. I know you're right, Rainey. I just don't know what it is.
I gotcha. I was just curious.
No, the tool, I mean, it might be a thing where we could put together a pro tool, and that'll be something we could discuss and maybe put out as a vote to people who wants to do what with it. But it does.
Just to throw in here, Ren.
Yep. I could barely hear you. Could you move your mic closer?
Yeah, it's on my mic. But,
all right.
I'm getting ready within the next couple of months to join the ranks of the retired, so I'll have a lot more time. If you do decide to go that way, just let me know. I'll be glad to help any way I
Okay.
can. But yeah, I'm fixing to hang up the old IT boots and join the ranks of.
Time to enjoy the days of playing 25 hours a day Warcraft. This does lead me to the next part, which is an unfortunate bit of house cleaning that I have to do on the Discord note. So we had our officer meeting the other day, and one of the things that that I brought up was, while I was on the road, some tempers flared, and we had a guy who just left the Discord because he got upset about stuff. And we've had also people who joined from the EQ2 side of things, who were joining specifically for EQ2 and not for the World of Warcraft stuff, and they felt compelled to come into the World of Warcraft channel and talk about how much they hate Blizzard. And we've also had people who got burnout doing the pirate event, and then they got burnout doing remix, and then they left really negative comments in the Discord about they hate this, that, and the other about Blizzard, and they dropped off the face of the earth. I made an announcement, a post about this. I would just, I'm here to have fun, and everyone, the reason that we formed the guild is to have fun. If you're not having fun, that's fine. If someone is burnout, and I highly recommend playing other games. There's millions of games out there, and dozens get released for free every week, and there's just so many good things. I don't have enough time to play. I wish I did. But there's always other things you can do rather than burn yourself out of World of Warcraft. The worst thing that you can do, and this is, I'm not talking about anyone personally, I'm just making a generalized statement. The worst thing you can do is get burnout and then take it out on everyone else around you. And so, made some adjustments to the rules. And while I was on the road, I had to do something that I hadn't had to do before, which was I had to moderate some people who just couldn't control themselves and they wouldn't shut up. And we eventually got one guy who got so upset about things and wasn't able to have an adult conversation that he just chose to leave. And that was entirely his prerogative. Moving forward, Lysander kind of touched on this because my gut reaction, and I'm just being brutally honest with everybody here. When we set this up, my original intent was not to do a guild. My original intent was I'm just going to go play World of Warcraft. And then a bunch of people got interested because I had said 3 or 4 years ago I was never going to run an MMORPG community again because I just don't have the bandwidth for it. But people stepped up and wanted to help out, and we decided to form this in a different way than we had done the previous things that my brother and I had managed for the past 8 or 10 years. And we've always had pretty good community members. There's always going to be hiccups here and there. But the one thing that really frustrated me being on the road was it felt like as soon as Dad was out of the house, the kids just started bickering. And when I had to moderate, it kind of made me feel like and I made a joke about it. I was like, I don't get paid enough to moderate this channel. Ultimately, this is supposed to be a community of adults who are here to have fun together and play World of Warcraft and enjoy World of Warcraft together and enjoy the community of being together and having fun, not just in this game, but hopefully in other games together. Like we've done Enshrouded, we've done EverQuest 2, we've done other things. So moving forward, I'm just going to make a polite request that also has a finality to it, which is if we can all just, if you ever find yourself getting frustrated with another person over a point of view, just agree to disagree and move on about your day. Walk away from Discord. Throw your phone in the trash.
We all just get along.
Yeah, just do what you need to do. Because I'll tell you what, I'm to the point where I'm willing to take a nuclear approach, which is if you can't handle being an adult in Discord, then you don't need to be in Discord. And I don't want to have to do that. And we haven't had, other than a couple of instances recently, we've had a very good run with having 100, I don't know how many people we have now, a couple hundred people probably in the Discord. We've had a good run of luck. Everybody's been very respectful, but I did notice that tempers were starting to get a little hot recently, and I don't want that to happen again. So obviously if that anything you see crop up and I don't catch it right away, or Lysander doesn't catch it right away or something, let us know. And just send us a DM and be like, hey, have you seen this? And we'll take a look. Because honestly, I've got 500 million things going on, and I don't always get the chance to keep up, to track on everything that's going on in Discord if there's 150, 200 messages going off the day. But I, just not to be a dick, but also I don't get paid to moderate, and I shouldn't have to moderate. We're all adults. So please, just as we move forward, let's try to avoid that. And I think the bad apples have gotten rid of themselves, so I think we'll be okay. But that also leads me into the final note, which is we're not going to do any active recruitment for the moment. And what I mean by that is we're not going to openly be like, hey, we're recruiting members. However, if someone reaches out and says, hey, I'm interested in your guild, then let's have a discussion with them. And if they want to jump through the hoops to join the Discord, let's have a discussion and see if they're the right person to join us. Anybody who's returning, obviously, those people are welcome to rejoin the guild if they're coming back after a 3-month break or something. I know a lot of people were, we had a lot of people who were just waiting in between. And ultimately, just clicking the wrong character here. Ultimately, we only need 10 people to raid with because of all the flex raiding. So all we need is 10 people, and even through Panda Remix, we have reliably fielded. I think the usually is average is like 12 to 15 people, even during Panda Remix, which has been the period where most people are in the content drought, bored with all the other stuff. If we start getting to the point where we don't have 12 to 15 people showing up on a nightly basis, then we can obviously look at opening recruitment again and actively doing calls to action at the end of my YouTube videos and, talking to people. And you could open up the in-game recruitment. That got us a lot of people when we did it earlier in the year, just opening up the in-game recruitment. And I mean, we still probably get half a dozen per week of people who just randomly find us through YouTube or whatever and send in-game applications without bothering to reach out. Because we have a convoluted process, as Rainey has said. And like I said, that probably needs to be something we address sooner rather than later. So I am really glad that you brought that up, Rainey. I've got that on my notes to go away from and figure out what is the best solution to maybe make this easier and set all that moderation up so that we could open up the Discord and make it a little easier on people. I got nothing else. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns?
No. Super excited about. What are we doing for the last couple weeks of Panda? Then are we doing normals or are we doing heroics? What is
So I don't know enough about it. Rainey, can you tell us what we need to do? Is normal mode? I'm assuming we're doing normal modes to get necklaces or rings or something.
Normal gets the rings or necklace. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Rainey.
normal gets the necklace. And there's not really. We have enough geared people, or even you all did normal a week or two back when Ren was out.
Yeah.
And you all did fine just with 10 doing normal. Doing heroic, though, you're probably going to need to assess some people's gear scores and such just to make sure not everyone would need to be geared, but you'd need to have enough geared people to be able to carry those who weren't geared, because heroic does take a little bit more than just normal does.
What do you get special for doing the heroic as opposed to the normal? Is it trinkets or is it just prestige?
You would get epics, you'd get better gear, you'd get more bronze for doing a heroic run, and if you do heroic siege, you get a title. If you do mythic siege, you get a different title. But apart from that, there's not really. It's just to do it.
No, that sounds cool if you're on track
Remix...
for it, but I'm not going to spend 30 hours a week for the next 3 weeks to get that stuff just to play the War Within afterwards. If you're not there now, then you're probably not going to be there, right? I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, it's probably at this point, if it's not important to you, if it's not like, oh, I really need to check that off my bucket list, it's not going to be worth the work that you're going to have to do to get to that point.
I can guarantee you, my poor little gnome mage, I mean, I think he's like 277 gear score right now because I just got to 70, and it's like I looked at that this morning after I finally upgraded his gear and went, oh, I wonder if I can even do normal mode on my poor little...
No, the gear that you're going to translate into to go into the War Within has got to be at least as good as the normal stuff that you can get from doing pre-patch. Otherwise, those characters aren't really transferable into the new expansion.
Well, I think they said it was...
I'm just like, I don't really care.
I'm pretty sure they said...
That's just me personally.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they said all that gear was going to automatically convert over to like 480 or something for the launch.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's going to be at least as good as whatever you need to do the new expansion. Gotcha. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going into that.
I'm just doing it for the experience, so. But I'll be the low man on the totem pole because I just got to 70 yesterday. So we'll just have to address that. We'll probably do normal mode tomorrow night, and then take a look at if there's enough people who want to do heroic on next Saturday night. Those folks, I won't be able to do heroic with that gear score.
Can I ask you a question, boss?
Yeah.
Before everybody trails off and gets too far gone, since we're doing normals on Saturday night, if we have the required 10 people, can we just go ahead and knock all 4 of them out so we can make sure we earn everybody their necklace? Because you're not going to be queuing. You can just do them as fast as we can fly to them, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the objective if we can.
All right, good.
I don't know what we need to do for the achievement, so I'm going to be waiting to hear. Whoever's going to tell us what to do, that's what's going to happen.
The dungeons in normal mode.
Hang on, I didn't hear you.
Just finish the dungeon in normal mode. That's all you have to do.
Which dungeon is it?
The raid, you mean?
Or yeah, I'm sorry, the raid.
You have to do Jalith said you have to do all 5 raids in normal.
All 5.
That should be feasible. If we can't do it in one Saturday, we'll do it over 2 Saturdays.
There you go.
I was gonna say I don't want to say it's not gonna be difficult. Siege of Orgrimmar is very long, and so the amount of time that you would probably run easily the first 3 is gonna take you as long as what Siege would take you. Throne of Thunder's a little bit longer, but Siege is pretty long. So it depending on everybody's time commitments, you might not be able to do all 5 of them in one Saturday because they get a little bit longer as you go.
Well, we got at least 2, if not 3 weekends, so that can be the main objective is just to get everybody through who doesn't have it yet. So yeah, that is all I've got on my list. Spinning back around just to the War Within pre-patch. The event that's going to be starting on the 30th, for those who haven't read through the blog post or watched any videos around it, essentially it's going to be farming gear like you did in the Emerald Dream. I believe they said it's a 480 gear score, and it's just you're going to be doing events, and they have resets for the first couple weeks and then a higher reset for the next couple weeks, and then the final couple weeks I think are like 30-minute resets, but you'll just be able to go in and grind out those shards for additional gear on a new gear merchant. And there's a whole bunch of like transmog stuff, and the big thing is like war bands, skywriting, and something else was coming on the 23rd with the pre-patch. I forget what the third was.
Cosmetics.
Transmog stuff, yeah, and shared links. So yeah, this brings up a good point, because one of the things we were talking about was as we're getting ready, if we're not starting raiding until mid-October, there's going to be like a 6-week gap where we might otherwise not be raiding. And so something that was put forward was like we can go do transmog raids on Saturday nights, because now transmogs are for everybody on your account. So you can go with whatever character you want, and we can go do transmog raids. So we'll probably do some of those on Saturday nights, outside of the, while we're not doing our story raids. And then Kel had suggested that we all get together, do like a Pokemon night where we go do pet battles and just roam around and do pet battles in a zone. I thought that, just fun things we could do on Saturday nights to have people come together for community and not just about the gear and stuff. And this also leads us to something else that we're probably going to do, starting with War Within, is once we get the crafting division put together, we'll probably start hosting, it won't be on a Saturday night, but we'll probably host something on like a Wednesday night or a Monday night or something where it's like a harvesting night, where we go out and we set up groups that this group is going to go hunt hides, this group's going to hunt ore, this group's going to hunt whatever, and we're going to go gather resources for the guild bank, so we can get our crafting divisions stocked up. So those are things to keep in mind.
Crafting raids in the Plane of Nightmare, yo.
Yeah, and we should probably put together a roleplay event if we want to make our presence on the server more known. So that might happen this fall as well. I don't have a timeline yet. All right, I promise I'm done. Anybody else got anything?
Good.
All right. Well, go forth, have fun. Tomorrow night we'll meet up and we'll do normal modes, and Rainey can tell us what to do because I don't know squat.
Excellent to one
Just
another.
kill stuff.
Point and shoot.
It's the same thing as the LFR, just a little bit more tough, but not much.
Not much, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll catch you guys next week then. Or not next week. Tomorrow night. I don't know why I said next week.
Yay.
All right. Tomorrow night. Have a good Friday night, everybody.